to you live from the One More About to Here / Illegal Shift Studios.
Listen to my music.
Fucking dickhead over here has to fucking do all kinds of weird shit.
I can't get it to work.
Yeah, see, that's why you're not a producer.
It's so complicated.
You have no idea how to do any of this except sit in front of a microphone and let your jibs run.
No, there's a really long intro into this song.
Oh my God, you're fucking killing me, dude.
What's up? Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome to the shit show that fucking Andrew brought.
Hey, you know what? I'm trying to watch my video because I like my theme song. Not that I don't like our theme song, but it's like, better together.
And Roth said, hi, sexy stud Andrew. Can't wait to hear that hot
sexy
voice.
Stud.
She must be blind and deaf.
Yes, well,
Helen Keller.
She's not blind and she's not wrong.
No, she's wrong.
She's not wrong.
Facets.
Can you see my cup? I think you can.
Yes. Yeah. The camera angle on the cup
Punisher.
is perfect. I love it.
Trumpinator shirt on.
Andrew, how was your day today?
Jason, my day was great. Thank you for asking. How was your day today?
My day, actually, thank you for asking, was
thank you
absolutely fantastic.
Was it really? What did you do so special today?
I was finally able to
I really don't care.
Yeah, God, you're such a dick. I was finally able to get my mom's car titled into my name.
Okay.
After a year.
Okay.
Of dealing with legal stuff.
Yeah, it's probably not easy to do, is it?
No, it's terrible. But it is now done, and I will be getting rid of that thing and getting it out of the driveway.
Which one is hers?
The Escalade.
You know what we should do? Now that you got title to it?
Trump it out.
Trump it out.
You're
not getting anything for it anyway, right?
Yeah, but I'm selling it.
I know, but how much you get it? How much you getting for it?
I don't know.
What do you think you're going to ask for it?
Probably two.
Okay, we'll trump it out. Let's trump it out.
You should buy it from me, and you trump it out. And that way you have
donate
it.
You should donate it, and we should trump it out and just drive around town.
I'm not donating it.
All right, don't donate it. We'll trump it out and then just drive around town.
I'm actually already,
and then I think,
in the hole for the filing fee, the attorney fees to get the.
I'll trump it out. I'll get it wrapped. We'll wrap it in Trump Nation, Trumpomania, and we'll just drive it around and see how many likes or dislikes we get. Go down to Over the Rhine and just hang out.
Just park it.
Just park it.
Just park it. And
insure the shit out of it.
Then it's
trump it out and go downtown.
Then it's on blocks.
Park it. So welcome everybody. We have a lot to talk about today. Got some interesting subject matter at hand, and I don't know which one we're going to start with first, but I would like to say that regarding, there's so much information still coming out about Springfield, Ohio, and I have a friend that is going up there for business tomorrow, and they're going to speak to the locals. But Jack Windsor has done some remarkable reporting on it that I've linked on my Facebook page, and we're going to put it on our page. And he's done some remarkable reporting. What always tickles my funny bone about Springfield, Ohio, and how everybody has kind of freaked out over they're eating dogs and cats comment, and they're ignoring the fact, because I was kind of thinking about this today as I was driving around. The one thing that is similar between Springfield, well, let me ask you, Jason, what is similar between Springfield, Ohio and Anderson Township?
Nothing.
Well, demographically, you're probably correct.
That's right.
Other than it's about the same size.
Yeah.
Anderson Township is about 40,000, 44,000 people. Springfield, Ohio is plus or minus around 40-something thousand people.
I'll buy into that.
Okay. And then you want to take 20,000 people thereabout, somewhere in that range, 15, 18, 20, whatever the number might be, and move them into Anderson Township. And I want to ask the good people locally here, since this is fairly a locally based show, how do you think our infrastructure would suffer?
Oh,
so I mean, as I've said,
loaded question, but
but I mean, it's just like, guys, and we have, obviously a lot of news story. I see a lot of chatter online from mostly liberals that are like, they're not eating dogs and cats, and the bomb threats are coming in. Well, here's the news did a story today, and they said, they were discussing the bomb threats were mostly hoaxes, but what they didn't lead the headline with was that, guess where those bomb threats are coming from, Jason?
It was there were two locations. If I read the article correctly, one was Russia, one was China.
Right. So how many MAGA Trump supporters do you think there are in Russia and China? I mean, because the narrative from the media was all those MAGA Republicans are now calling in bomb threats to, facilities in Springfield, Ohio,
Right.
and schools and what else. But guess what? That's not true. So you think that the newspaper or the local news, if they were remotely, I don't know, competent or at least transparent, their headline would be bomb threats not local, bomb threats coming from overseas. They don't say that, though. They bury it in the article. They talk about dogs and cats being eaten again, and that's what they want to focus on. But you know what? I don't have a problem with people keep bringing that up because it keeps the story in the news, because that is a failure. What's happened in Springfield, Ohio, is a failure at every level of government. I think that the federal government definitely failed you. And let's be clear, for the umpteenth time, these are immigrants that were brought here legally under the emergency order.
What they call it, a temporary
immigrant status or something.
Temporary
like that.
status. Temporary status, I think, is what it was.
And maybe it's emergency temporary status. I'm not sure. There's another term in there, but
touching that thing.
I'm you know how I like to. I always have to move it.
I know, and then it just makes sounds.
Anyway, there's a joke in there somewhere. But anyway,
I could totally do it.
The thing is that, look, you were failed by your federal government, okay, because they concentrated them here in one area. They didn't disperse them, even in smaller groups. For an area of 40,000, can we put maybe 500 or so in every
community?
Spread it out across the state. Well, but they did a little bit. There's other groups in Findlay. I heard Findlay's suffering as well. Most people aren't going to hear that.
But not 20,000.
20,000.
Or 15 to 20.
Whatever the number. Whatever. Well,
15 to 20.
Whatever the number is,
it's
right?
A lot of people.
It's a lot of folks. And so your federal government failed you. I believe that your state government also failed you, because I did see a letter, as we have the photograph of, from Mike DeWine to who the hell is that to anyway?
Pompeo.
All right, and saying how now, if the letter is accurate, I mean, it could be a deep fake. I'm not sure. And so saying how welcoming and blah 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 Ohio is regarding immigrants. So I guess that was the green light. But what I probably, if I was writing that letter,
December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2019.
Right. So
we're 5 years later.
5 years later. So the deal is that
bring them on.
It just it's like, hey, the pool's open. Come on in. The water's fine. So
nobody's peed in it yet.
Not yet. So I've got, and then your local government has failed you, because rather than start ringing the alarm bells and saying, hey, we're being overloaded here. There's an increase in traffic accidents. Somebody died in a school bus crash. We just didn't, nobody said anything. Everyone acted like everything was fine and hunky dory. And no, it stressed the community. It stressed the people. It's not fair to the residents. I'll say it a million times. It was a failure all the way around. And, the saddest thing of all, Jason, this isn't just in Springfield. This is happening all over the United States because of the fundamental failure. And actually, I believe it's done on purpose. It's a purposeful failure of the Harris Biden administration opening the border and allowing in not only the legal migrants, because obviously these people were here from Haiti. I think she allowed 350,000. I think she upped it to. Initially it was like 30,000. Then we had the video of her being happy that it was up to 350,000 Haitians legally brought in. Then we also let in millions and millions of illegal, undocumented aliens. And we're just simply, I believe America is being overrun and the system is being overloaded.
Well, you and I have talked about it, and Springfield obviously is, even, David J's in California, Will Cray's in Minnesota,
right?
Faulkner's in California as well. They only heard about Springfield, Ohio, because it got brought up on a fucking debate.
Right.
Nobody would have
and
heard.
Also, you mentioned eating dogs and cats.
But nobody would have ever heard of it,
right?
Unless it was brought up in the debate.
It'd still be going on right now, unknown.
what is happening where you guys live,
Right.
wherever it is across the country or locally here. Locally,
like
Cincinnati,
I said, I've heard
Springfield.
Springfield's not far from here. Findlay's not terribly far from here. It's just up 75. So, I mean, we're hearing reports. I've read, reports of different cities. Obviously, Colorado has issues. New York has complained about illegal migrants overloading the system there. The systems that we've set up in this country, the safety nets that we've set up for our very citizens, are being tested and stressed to the max. And I think that they're doing this for a reason. They want to overload and collapse the system, perhaps. I'm not sure. But I am concerned that, at some point people will have had enough and they'll be like, we're not standing for this anymore. And it's not the migrants' fault. I mean, they're trying to escape, obviously a bad situation. They come here with nothing for the most part, and they're settled in areas. You're paying for them. I've heard disturbing reports about balances on electronic. What are those cards called? The
EBT cards.
You're right, EBT cards that they are given. That some people have done, and I've shared videos on the balances remaining on there and how high some of them are. We are a generous people, as I've said 1,000,001 times, but our generosity has a limit because we are not a bottomless well of generosity. We cannot be. At some point, we're being used, and I think the people are feeling that. I think that the public is feeling we're being used. So,
since he blames our Republican governor, which I blame him. I blame him as well.
If you know what, I will say this: in a very rare instance of him having any lucidity, he is correct on this one.
We agree with you, Cincy. Look at that. See, look, we can.
Can't we just find common ground?
That's right.
Right.
Look, we found it right there.
And Kamala sucks. But anyway, listen. Here's the deal.
That's that's as much common ground.
That's it. But here's the deal. I don't mind bringing migrants here, but don't settle them all in one place. I had a video that I shared. I should have sent it to you. I'm sorry I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
I don't think I did. I think I did. Maybe I did. I sent, but judging from your organizational skills, you probably won't find it. About the protests in Dearborn. They had literally 35,000. Well, I want to tell you. So this weekend, 35,000 immigrants protested in Dearborn, Michigan. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And they were all, Muslim immigrants that were They called Dearborn like little whatever. Pick a city over there, Dearbornistan or something like that. That's what they call it. But
I've been to Dearborn and I get it.
Well, but you cannot settle all these people in one area and expect, and that's why they have the representation they do there. Talib is from there. But, I just don't understand how that encourages assimilation into the United States. It just doesn't work. So our federal government's doing this on purpose. I have concerns about it. I'm sure everybody else has concerns about it. If you don't have concerns about it, then, continue. If you don't have concerns about your country being overrun per se, your system's definitely being overloaded and your resources being taxed. I mean, I think they said I can't remember the number, but there was an insane amount of new students that are in the schools there. And the problem is they don't speak English. So they speak primarily French, some sort of dialect of French.
Yeah.
And
Hades. Yeah.
And it's causing a lot of problems because, not only can we not find, school teachers to teach kids that understand English, we're having a great difficulty teaching kids in French. Especially in Springfield, Ohio, which is not known for its, cultural diversity yet.
And Ann Roth brings up a good point, about we're talking about DeWine and his history with Haiti and the church, the rescue missions and everything else, which I didn't think about at first. But then when I heard about, when this started, I was like, oh shit, I do remember him and his wife, promoting the fact that they did that and would go down and do the rescue missions or the missionary trips,
which is it's a great cause. I'm sure he's a very generous person. However, let's think a couple of moves ahead here, folks, and let's not, we cannot accept the world, and if we do accept a good portion of the world, what it seems like we have been, Let's not all put them in one place and overload. It's not fair to the citizens there that have been paying taxes for the infrastructure and then now have to suffer not only the traffic, the dangerous traffic conditions there. And, I got to be serious. Everyone's like, well, you don't live there. What do you care? Well, here's a newsflash for you. My tax dollars are being sent there. Yeah. So the state of Ohio sent an additional $2.5 million to Springfield to deal with this overload. And that's my tax dollars that could be spent for, I don't know, things like which I'm involved in. I don't know, maybe maintaining abandoned cemeteries like we did this last weekend here in Anderson Township. So,
nice work.
Thank you. It was we have a great board of volunteer that run that help maintain the cemetery. The township does a great job with resources to help us keep the cemetery looking nice, and it's what we do.
So, and I'm looking at the chats again, and
you're reading chats, but let's get to the stories that we have of the day.
But real quick, Cincy.
Did the Bengals play tonight?
Cincy's throwing, Republican mayors, Republican governors.
It's not Cincy's show.
But nationwide, let's look at Chicago.
Well, there's Chicago.
Let's look at New York.
That's right. Let's look
at cops that are getting the shit beat out of them by immigrants.
Yes.
Because these Democratic mayors, in other cities, bigger cities than us, So it's fucking full circle. Nobody is perfect, and we get that. We understand that.
I don't pretend. Well, not everybody is as perfect as they can be. Some of us raise the bar, but
when you're just throwing an R or a D, it doesn't matter whether it's R or D right now.
It's just we need to elect folks that and for Cincy, the one thing he's I'm glad that he's able to. I'm glad that he's so easy to cast blame at DeWine, but the sad thing about Cincy is he's deaf, dumb, and mute on his candidate of choice for president, which has done, this Haitian migration on steroids with illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
I mean, does Cincy 513, is he apologetic to the people that have been raped and murdered by the illegal migrants, criminals that have been led into this country? By his administration, the one he purports to support. So, I mean, 513, look, if you're gonna look at it with supposedly unbiased glasses, if that's possible, and let's not talk about him anymore, but let's say any Democrat wants
I just want to grab those bigger cities.
Where DeWine bad, through the roof. DeWine bad, blah, blah, because he's a Republican. Okay, well, listen, let me tell you something, buddy. Your candidate, your administration for the past 3 years has had no border, and they're overloading the system all over this country. And they've let in criminals that are raping women and children, and they're also killing people because they emptied the prisons. So when you want to stand up and say that was wrong and that was bad, you know how you say it? You don't vote for another 4 years of this shit. Jesus Christ, it's not that fucking hard.
I love it.
I mean, it's not that hard.
Let's all right, so we're going to move into obviously our thumbnail was a teaser for
free speech.
Free speech, but
no, so there's wait, let's preface it with this. So today is what day is today?
What is it?
It's Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
What happens on Monday night?
Monday Night Football.
Right. Monday Night Football, right? Which is as American as apple pie. I did not know. See, he was wearing the jersey. I heard that, I thought there was another game. There's two Monday night games.
There are two games,
which is rare, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not a big NFL guy.
Doesn't happen all the time.
Okay, so I don't know if it's a supermoon or what. So there's two NFL games
early in the season.
Whatever. It's as American as apple pie, right? Everyone's going to get off work, or a lot of people are going to get off work. Downtown should be a zoo because the game is here, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And they're playing the Redskins?
And you corrected me, but yes, I will call them the Washington Redskins. Okay. I said Commanders, but they will always be the Redskins.
I should have slapped you when you said that.
You should have.
It's okay. But anyway, so here's the deal. So you live in a country, you go to a football game, and you got the story ready to go, right? Mm-hmm. So you go to a country, you pay your taxes, for some recreation, you want to blow off some steam.
Season tickets,
Wow.
expensive.
Which they're kind of pricey, right? What is the? I mean, I don't know. It'd probably be thousands of dollars, I would imagine, for season tickets.
I don't have them, but probably $3,000 to $4,000 a year.
Yeah, so
potentially.
and the team is supposed to, if you're a season ticket holder, you're probably held in a little higher regard maybe than Joe Schmo that buys them on whatever. I mean,
it just shows up to a game.
Maybe scalps them off from whatever. Could you imagine that in the United States of America, as you're walking into a stadium? Now, don't get me wrong. I was very hesitant to jump on the bandwagon of some yuts that had a Donald Trump flipping off people shirt on, and was asked by, I think it was Delta, but I'm not positive. It was one of the airlines, to remove his shirt because it was offensive. And he's like, I'm not removing it. It's free speech. And I'm like, dude, I wouldn't want anybody with F this or F that. Certain things. There's an airline. Have you flown lately? There's very little decorum on the flight. And folks, when it comes to flying, I don't understand. I don't believe sandals are an acceptable footwear for public travel, because honestly, some of you folks
wear like fucking Crocs.
No, they're
some shit.
My feet are closed. The germs from my feet are not migrating all over the airline.
I roll in slides all the time because I get yelled at in the line.
The problem is you're sitting there and some putz
get back on task.
Okay, so
get back on task.
Anyway, if I'm sitting there and I get touched by a toe of somebody I don't know because they put their foot up,
that's weird.
I've got a problem.
That's a fucking weirdo.
Okay, but anyway, you're going in. Where were we going with this? Oh, you're going into a football game and someone tells you that your hat, because it portrays your political viewpoint, is unacceptable, and they take that from you. Buddy, I tell you, I have a big problem with that. So let's share the story. And this is the United States of America.
I'd have lost
the NFL. I'd have lost my mind. I'm glad that I think we have two stories. I think that one of the people is suing the crud out of the organization, and I hope the second person does the same. So once we share these stories.
She wasn't allowed to wear her Make America Great Again hat, MAGA, inside State Farm Stadium.
The Cardinals are responding, saying that one security guard did not follow policies.
12 News journalist Sean Rice sat down with the woman to get a better understanding of what happened at the Cards opener.
Hey there, Mark and Caribbean. Today I spoke with Susan Rosener. She has been a season ticket holder for nearly 3 decades, going to Cardinals games with her and her husband. But something happened to her on Sunday that has never happened before. She was told she had to throw her Make America Great Again hat in the trash, or else she and her husband couldn't enter the stadium.
I hear somebody yell, you can't bring that hat in here. And I thought she was joking, and I kind of went, oh, ha, 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 and kept walking toward the second checkpoint.
They're the words Susan Rosener heard as she was walking up the security checkpoints at State Farm Stadium. They were uttered by a security guard working for a third-party company. When she was asked why she could not wear a political hat to a public sporting event, she was told it violated the stadium's policies.
She's like, no political hats or shirts. And I said, I haven't heard that at all. And I said, that doesn't make sense to me. And she goes, I said, take your hat off. And I go, I'm not sure I want to do that.
After her husband posed a question,
if she takes it off, can we get in?
She opted to throw it away so that she could go to the game.
In retrospect, I wish I would have stood my ground a little bit, but I wasn't sure what the repercussions would be. And I was thinking my husband would kill me if I did something with the season tickets or jeopardize those somehow.
The Arizona Cardinals in State Farm Stadium have a list of prohibited items when attending Cardinals games. The two options closest to a ban on political attire would be, quote, clothing deemed obscene or indecent in a public setting, or any item deemed inappropriate or hazardous by stadium security. She pointed this out to a guest services representative and was told MAGA hats are prohibited.
Could you please?
So with that, I mean, that goes on for like another minute and a half.
I hope she has an attorney. Now, it said earlier, I think she was a season ticket holder for decades. It said decades. So, that means
spent a lot of money with the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, I just need to talk slowly. For 513, that means like multiples of 10 years. So
multiples of 10.
So tens of years. But here's the deal. I would sue them because that's a violation of her freedom of speech.
Yes.
And there we had, I think you have another story. There were just a clip, the show that it happened. It happened again. You can just pull that up. So she's the one that's suing the Mets. This is baseball, right?
So that was the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
And then we have this woman who is suing the New York Mets for $2 million after being barred from wearing Trump MAGA hat
right
at Citi Field.
Right. So, these
can't even go to a sporting event.
Right. With your political hat on.
And wear what you want.
What you want. I mean, I don't care if
let's
it's
just say I'm
let's say that I'm
wearing one more and I'm out of here hat.
Well,
and they're like, well, we don't like it.
Well, let's just say that for some reason you crossed over, had a severe brain trauma and supported Kamala Harris from here on out. And you had your Kamala Harris hat. I mean, look, I would be the first one. See, here's the difference. I would be the first one to say if I was in line, you can wear that hat. It's not a big deal. Wear what you want. You want to wear a Kamala shirt? Wear what you want. So I had an employee. She's still working there, Terry. Hey, T. And Terry is African American female and great lady, and has worked with me. Teresa Terry has worked with me forever. And I remember when Obama was running, she had an Obama shirt on. And, she was half doing it to razz me, but she was also very proud of the fact that Barack was an African-American candidate and she wanted to support him. So I was like, whatever, I don't care. I would never in my own business, right? My business, I would never take the attitude of you can't wear that shirt, take that shirt off, turn it inside out or something like that. That's just not how I roll. So some customer came in and was trying to give her a hard time. Like he was being an asshole about it. I told the guy, I said, look, not in my store. You're going to be nice. If you can't be nice, you can find somewhere else to take your shit because I don't care. She's got every right to wear that shirt. As ugly as I think the shirt is, she can wear it. And T and I have been tight ever. I mean, we were tight before that, but Terry is just symptomatic that it's her freedom of speech, even though it's my business. As long, if it said F something, I probably would be like, hey, try not to wear that because that might offend somebody. Right. But the funny thing is that those stadiums, so you got the Mets, you've got the Cardinals. Was it Arizona?
Arizona Cardinals, yeah.
Well, guess what? Guess what built those stadiums? Tax dollars. Public tax dollars. You can't be. So that kind of even puts it in. If it was a private club or something like that, I can understand them maybe having some rule against some sort of speech. But I would think that would be stupid too. But public tax dollars, man. You take public money. You've got to. I think the Constitution is very clear on this, and that's violating her free speech. Now, we had some discussion before about electioneering, a prior show about electioneering working inside of the polling location. So anything inside of, I believe it's 100 feet of the polling location, you're not allowed to electioneer, meaning you can't go into and we had a mayor that did this actually, but you can't go into the polling location. And I tell people when I'm working the poll and I see somebody like MAGA hats are very popular.
Working the poll.
Well, yeah.
You would do the same thing to me, motherfucker.
I know, but I just say that's what she said. You can't wear things inside the polling location. I tell people all the time, hey, turn your hat inside out, take your hat off. It's not my job to stop you. I'm just going to tell you, if you go in there, the precinct judge is going to ask you to either turn your shirt inside out, wear a coat over it, or something like that. And, I don't say it in a mean way. And I'm just like, if they're doing their job right, it's an election law violation. So that's a different deal. So yeah, I've got a big problem with that. I hope that they both attorney up. They
absolutely should.
Yeah. Well, the rare instance where I'm a fan of get a hungry attorney, somebody very thin that hasn't eaten in maybe months, that is really pissed off, and sue the dog shit out of them. I mean, whatever. That's the only thing that's going to teach these people. Not trained properly. Come on, a simple call to somebody above them. Be like, yeah, anybody in ticket sales or consumer relations. Be like, dude, yeah, that should have been covered.
So the Cardinals organization put an apology to them and said that it was a contracted security person, yada 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 yada.
Okay,
but guess what? It was on your property.
It's on your property.
So if you're contracting them, then you need to train your people.
And she, well, I mean, just a simple email. These are the prohibited items. These are okay, right? Political hats, okay.
Freedom of speech is getting limited.
It's under this administration and this environment in America, we are having episode after episode where we designate something as type of speech that we don't like, and we can then regulate it. So I've got
Tina Sunderhouse, our friend, said they should buy her new hat. They should go to the Trump store. Guess what? Cincy 513 probably won't be at the Trump store down on Beachmont, but there is a cool Trump store.
And they had you know what they did? They rented the digital billboard over there by Home Depot.
Did they really?
Yeah, it was advertising for the Trump store. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's pretty cool.
I love it.
I mean, seriously, the guy's got a lot of stuff there, but
when your free speech is getting fucking limited, if I want to go to the Bengals game tonight, hypothetically, not going.
Are you going?
No, I'm not.
Why not?
I'm going to go down to.
So you're not a fan.
I'm going to go down to Post 318 and watch it with my
are you
buddies
a fan?
from the American Legion.
Are you not a fan?
I am a fan.
Okay, well, there must be a limit to your fandom.
Well, I also have to work tomorrow. So if I went downtown,
God, I tried to go down there.
If I went downtown and went to a Bengals game, I would be more of a bag of shit at work tomorrow.
Remember even more. Remember when I tried to go to a tailgate the last game, and I was like, I can't do this. There's nowhere to park. I mean, it's impossible to find parking because I wasn't there for the game. I was just going for the pregame festivities. I was like, I should have Ubered in or rented. I would have loved to rent one of those little scooters. I think I would have looked so cool on a scooter.
You would.
I mean, be like, talk about 5 pounds of shit in a 2-pound sack. I'd have been stuck on that scooter.
You'd have eaten shit. You'd eaten shit on the fucking street, and I would have loved to have seen it. And I'd have gotten it on video if I was with you.
So
but no, I'm going to go down to our local American Legion Post 318 for. Our Sons of American Legion.
It's at 6660 Clough Pike.
6660 Clough Pike.
Imagine that.
We're gonna have a watch party tonight.
You're having it in the right hand side in the lounge area.
Club
and is it a cash bar?
It is.
So that's open to the public. That if anyone wants to go down there and watch the Bengals, I believe they can go. Right?
You're a guest of mine.
Excellent. So anyone that's bored out of their mind or would like to meet Jason, so you could say you've met someone that sat next to me, you're welcome to. But it gets back, this is a perfect segue. This is a perfect segue, which is like a segue, like the scooter I was going to rent. But this is so freedom of speech is under assault in America. Okay, we can agree on that.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can't agree on that, but I'm going to make that statement. And to back it up, and like we talked about the show here with your brother, last one, half the time that we do this show, I'm actually expecting a knock at the door. Or a thud at the door, or the door flying open. Right. And we talked briefly, and I'm glad you pulled it up. That's what she said. The video, or is this the video we have, or just the reporting of the guy that had basically? So you have rights in this country, and you should know your rights. And just because someone shows up on your property, sometimes with a badge, or you should always I would always ask to see a badge if they're coming in, if there's like a non-emergency situation. Hey, I'd like to talk to you about X, Y, or Z, about something you said on social media, or something you tweeted, or something that you may have shared with somebody that you're like, that doesn't sound right. I want you to look. This guy knew his law.
Well, I want to bring this part up, like part of where I've watched a ton of these, and when they are very apprehensive to show you their credentials, knowing they're being videoed, and they're like, well, I don't want to be on video, and I don't want to show my credentials. If you're the guy going to the house, guess what? You're not that fucking important.
Well, I mean,
you're not that fucking important to where if your name and if you're showing it, I'm holding a phone here, and you pull your wallet out or your credential holder.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to grab all of it. But,
well, I mean,
if your boots on the ground, you're not that fucking important, dude.
You could. There's other ways to show them your credentials. You could have said, here's my credentials. I don't want you to photograph it, or whatever. I mean, if
different ways to handle
it, there's different ways to handle it. That wasn't done here, and this is America 2024, which is concerning. So go ahead and let's roll that.
Yeah. Here we are. Can you give your full name, please? Is that sufficient to identify? Is there only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI? Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
No. It's First Amendment right. Okay. What's your name, sir?
Could you stop recording?
Absolutely not.
Well,
you can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house.
Okay. really want to broadcast my.
Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away.
So that's my record.
So you can show me your name or ID. You can walk away.
Which one?
I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
You see our badges.
I need to see. Is your full name on that badge?
I could buy one of those.
I'd like to see something with your
Do you have
full
one?
name, or I'm not going to talk to you.
It's free not to broadcast.
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
Well, all I want to do is talk to you about a post that was made. And you
Well,
happen to be the one that made it.
I want to talk to you about you guys coming here.
Jeez, you want to talk
Say
about
you make a
relating
salary
to
of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures? Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like you're familiar with. So then why would you come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any.
No, you're coming because you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing
Unbelievable.
when you know laws aren't being broken. And that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your jobs and go home?
We appreciate it.
You're walking away. Because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are fuckheads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards.
Now, I thought as the car drives away, I thought there were Ohio plates on it, but I picked up there that I thought he said like that's not in New Hampshire or something like that. So I don't know where this was. I mean, was there anything in the? I mean, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, right?
I didn't see anything in the story,
but I mean, how many times have you posted something and you're like, you know, that could happen to any one of us. It probably happened to me first, but I'm like, wow, it just is chilling. And the guy knew his rights for something you posted. I mean, come on, man. So before that, I just want to throw this out there. Before social media, so imagine if you were, I don't know, on the other side of your fence of your neighbor, right? Maybe you were walking down the street and you were talking back in the day before Al Gore invented the interweb. And you sit there and you're talking and then somebody was to come along, guy in a big fedora was to come along and say, hey, FBI, I want to talk to you about what you just said. I mean, how would that go over back in the day? That never would have happened, right? You'd have been like, there's no way that's happening.
You know
America.
The way it used to work? Show me your papers.
Yeah.
Show me your papers.
Right.
That's the way it used to fucking work.
Papers, please. But I just don't get how we think that's cool in America. Now, let me say this. I'll be very clear because I am supportive of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. If somebody is making threats against somebody's life, if somebody is making a call for public violence.
And you did preempt this. You preempted the story with, I don't know exactly what he said.
I don't know what he said either. I have no idea.
You preempted that.
I got to say this.
I see a bunch of these videos all the time.
We've seen a lot of these videos. And I'll say this. If he posted, you know, I'm fairly certain that had he posted something inappropriate or, you know, whatever it might have been, there would have been a follow-up story that we would have heard about it by now. And we haven't. So it leads me to believe that he probably either shared something or posted something that was probably innocuous at best. And they chose to go, you know, he's right in the sense that I don't know what these guys are making. I don't really care. But you factor in that they're costing you tax dollars sitting there chasing this shit down when we have real problems in the United States. I mean, need I remind you that Ohio is #1 in child trafficking. That is coming from the south, the southern border, the open southern border. Children, there's the Kamala Harris administration has lost track of roughly 350,000 minors that have come across the border that we fear has been, you know, a large percentage might have now been sold into this child trafficking ring and industry. America is also the #1. Sadly, this is horrible. But is the #1 buyer or user of child pornography and child, you know, abuse of children. So I would rather them focus their efforts, limited resources, much like the system. It's almost identical. The system being overloaded by migrants to the legal system being overloaded by crap like this.
You owned a company,
right?
And you had the budget.
Yeah.
You had your inflow and your outflow, right?
It's called income and expenses, but yes, inflow and outflow. I don't know what that means.
Shut the fuck up.
just
You know
asking.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Our government
has
the same thing,
not really,
but obviously doesn't know how to fucking do it.
Our government does not have the same thing, because what our government has the ability to do that I did not is they could print more money,
Well,
and I could not print more money. So they had an unlimited inflow, if you want to consider those terms.
All right, I'm done.
And a limitless outflow.
Shutting down.
Well, I mean, it's just true. And that's why we have inflation.
Why are we spending money on this stupid shit? Why are we spending taxpayer money to send two dudes to go
and the
to
car the car's sitting there,
and the
right?
gas,
and the overhead, and everything else.
Their salaries.
It just makes no sense,
because if this guy would have had posted something that was nefarious, which we're going to get into, he would have been arrested.
I would think he should have been arrested.
It wouldn't have been them just, hey, we want to ask you about.
Would have been, here's my badge. Thank you, and you're coming with us.
That's why in this description that's why I named it Censorship Manifestos, is the fact that if you noticed, I didn't use the SH. I put some asterisks in there.
Yeah.
Because that way I didn't want to get flagged. Because I'm not allowed to fucking put a certain word
on social media or YouTube or whatever else, or Facebook. Yeah, right. So we're talking the other subject we're going to get into here, and this was broke, I think it was today, maybe yesterday, so forgive me if I'm off a day. But the second shooter, attempted assassination, let's call it what
I didn't put it in print, so we're good. You can say it. I didn't put it in print. We'll see what happens.
Was attempted assassination, not alleged. It was attempted, because I saw the gun. I mean, the guy had optics on there. So guess what they did today? Was it today? I can't remember. Tell me, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
No, I saw it this morning.
Okay, so it might have been like late yesterday or whatever. So they released, the assassin had a manifesto, or at least a letter, and they released it. And I've got a big problem with this, because we still have, now this has been, was that about a week ago? Yeah, I think it was about a week ago. Roughly. So they've released this letter. And now let me ask you a question. So a while ago in Nashville, not far from Cincinnati, we had a horrible shooting at a church school, I believe it was.
Yep.
And several people died, and the shooter had a manifesto. We still have not seen that manifesto, because
it got released, but was redacted a ton.
Right. So lots was blocked out. Redacted means blacked out.
It's been released, so that way they could say, hey, we gave it to you, but you don't have all of it.
Right. And a lot of it's blacked out, as you said. So my question is, and I'm not saying rightly or wrong. I guess I would lean towards rightly. They don't want the excuse always given is, we don't want to encourage copycats, right? That's the excuse always given. We don't want to glorify this. We don't want to get this information out there, because we don't want copycats to do the same thing. What's the difference here?
Right.
And if you read,
let's just call it a week and a half, just to be safe.
Right.
So that way we don't get yelled at.
We don't get yelled at. Ooh, it was 10 days, not a week.
But a week and a half,
right?
We see this letter.
And I might add, there's a dollar figure. I mean, there's lots wrong with this. First of all, this references a lot of things. I can't
zoom it in.
I can't read it from here, but you see the dollar figure, $150,000. So he's offering, if you read in there, you see on the middle, I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job.
Yeah.
Is that not a bounty? But we had no problem releasing this letter after the second assassination attempt on Donald J. Trump. And I might add, Jason, 2 months ago, the first shooter, can I ask you, because maybe I've been asleep or in a coma or just stupid with my head up my ass, what do we know about the first shooter yet?
Well, we have what the media portrayed in the fact that he was followed, like he was seen at FBI, close to FBI offices. We saw that, met at coffee shops. He was pinged.
We have lots of little bits of information.
Little bits.
But they teased that they were going to have a report. They haven't had the report released yet that I've seen.
Cremated his body 10 days after without letting
anyone test it for any...
Without allowing the investigators to see the body.
Well, I mean, see
Burned
the body,
it's gone.
Or maybe test for hallucinogens or drugs or any illicit material or whatever. So you could say, hey, you know, he was higher than a kite on PCP, and this might have influenced his decision making or whatever the case might be. So my point is that, you know, I don't understand. The one thing they did release now on this guy was his manifesto, which has a bounty now on Donald J. Trump. And I find this completely and utterly irresponsible by whomever. I guess would this be, I don't know who released the letter, but it might be the FBI. I'm not sure who did it.
So the way this read,
because I can't read the top of it there.
I grabbed another story that
might be the Department of Justice.
That made it a little bit easier to read, but apparently he released this letter and sent it to somebody.
Okay, dear world. So he's writing the world.
He sent it to somebody.
Dear world.
I gotta find that article, but
it's okay.
But he sent it to somebody, and then they turned it in.
Right. So we're
it's pretty much like a Dear John letter. Like if you're reading this, I failed. It's which is what he says.
It's Dear World. I mean, he's addressing the world. So, you know, maybe I should.
This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Oh, well, wait. So then it's not alleged.
But
right?
I am so sorry I failed, and I tried my best. And I'm trying to read it as well. But I did have one that was a little bit more zoomed in.
I mean, why couldn't he print? That's cursive, and you have a problem with that.
Well, I can read cursive, motherfucker. Our young kids can't, which is unfortunate. But yeah, he literally says, "I'm offering $150,000 to whoever can complete the job."
That's unbelievable.
Everyone across the globe,
it's unbelievable,
from the youngest to the oldest, know that Trump is unfit to be anything.
God, that sounds like
much less a U.S. president.
Well,
U.S. presidents must at bare minimum. I'm sorry. Let's see. Embody the moral fabric that is America, and be kind, caring, and selfless.
Let me ask you,
and always stand for humanity. Trump failed to do. There is another page of this, but we don't have
enough. It's enough.
But either way,
let me ask you a question. Who does this sound like? I mean, when I read especially the moral fabric and Trump this and Trump that, God, it sounds like, is this guy like a Democrat politician? I mean, is he a elected Democrat that they were supposed to turn down the rhetoric and not have all this vitriol? Because you've got another instance here of a Democrat. I can't remember the story, but a Democrat, still spewing just 2 weeks, a week and a half ago of the second assassination, because now it's not alleged anymore. It's actually, he admits in there it was an assassination attempt and he failed.
Talk about that dumb bitch.
Well, I don't know her personally, but I could say that from her words, I could judge that she's not the brightest tool in the shed.
Somebody who, as we've watched Donald Trump throughout the course of this campaign, he's showed how dark his soul is, but now he is proving himself to be a truly dangerous man, and he cannot and will not be the president of the United States.
Okay, who is that again? Can you tell me who that is? Because I know who it is.
Tammy Baldwin from
she is
West Canton.
Yeah, but what is she? She is a senator and a Democrat. So when you say these things that he's an existential threat, he doesn't have a soul. He can't do this, can't do that. What do you think? And now we have, this guy take somebody that's borderline crazy or has some mental deficiency and then might be in financial trouble because of, I don't know, the economy the last 3.5 years and the fact that everything costs more.
I don't know how he's in financial ruin because he was
able to travel. I know
he was able to go to Ukraine,
lived in Hawaii, Delaware.
I've never been. Jill has told me Hawaii's expensive as shit.
It's expensive. It's nothing's cheap there. Everything's flown in.
And a flight to fucking Ukraine from wherever.
I don't know how you get to Ukraine. I got to be totally frank with you. I don't know. I know I've heard it's beautiful, especially this time of year, but I just don't understand how an American going to Ukraine, you think that might be on the State Department. You think you automatically get put on a watch list, right? And there's the gun. You just showed the gun. So that's obviously an SKS. It's not an AK.
Right. They said AK when I saw it. I was like, I think that's an SKS.
That's an SKS. And I know it's semantics, but I mean, look, oh no, that might be an AK.
I don't know.
I'm not an AK because of the detached mag down.
I'm not
bottom,
a huge gun guy, but
well, I mean, look, the Soviet guns. I mean, they're effective because they're rugged, but as far as accurate, I mean, they can be fairly accurate.
As a scope,
a scope, and the guy was what 200 yards away, 200 to 300 yards away.
Yeah.
That's not a hard shot with that weapon right there. It's not a hard shot. Plus, he was coming closer, so he was on the next hole. So they found him ahead of time. Thank God that somebody saw the agent saw that black muzzle sticking out of the bushes. And like we talked about the earlier show, the guy had obviously ceramic plates protecting him, a little bit of a fortified position. And then I guess sanity took over and he said, run away. He was like, I gotta go. So,
well, and again, and
once he was engaged by the Secret Service, I think he knew that there was no way the president was going to come within gunshot, so he had no choice to run away.
He said, I done fucked up, Ron.
And I wonder what information they're going to get from the guy. But
so I mean, the question is,
vitriol needs to stop, and the vitriol is coming from one side, and we have it's a really interesting world we find ourselves in. The world's kind of a crazy place. It's dangerous every day, and I'd like to ask people, I heard you played this for me before. I saw it on the internet. I'm glad you pulled it up. The election can be simplified, although it is a complex world. The election can be simplified. And I wish I could sum it up. I love this guy, and I think you love this guy, because this sums up this election pretty much to a T. Let's roll that.
It should be playing. And it doesn't want to play.
And it doesn't want to play.
Of course.
So you did play?
No.
Give your Soviet.
It's spinning. It's spinning. I don't know why.
It played earlier.
It did.
Well, so anyway, so what we have here, and if Jason can't pull it up, so I got a guy, obviously, I believe, we don't know him directly, but he looks to be, I believe he has a tat on his arm. It might be retired FDNY, Fire Department, New York. And he puts it this way, but I love his New York accent. It's an older guy.
God damn it, I'm mad at something.
And I mean, I don't know what you did. Did you pay your bill?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, we got great internet.
Okay, so anyway, and he puts it this way. Your house is burning. Okay, your house is on fire. Your kids are upstairs trapped. The house is burning down. Your kids are in their bedrooms. And the guy across the street is a fireman. But you don't like him because you don't like his hair. And you don't like his tan, and you don't like his mean tweets, but he can save your kids. What are you going to do? Are you going to run over and get the guy that can save your house and save your family? Or just because you personally don't like some attribute of his, you're going to let your house burn to the ground? It's pretty much that simple. I think that's where we're at.
You actually, I mean, you almost nailed that 30 seconds of video.
Right.
It was,
I don't have the New York, but it adds a different feel to it when he's talking in the New York accent. So we don't have the clip of this. We don't have the story on this. But what I'm saying is the world, that's cool. But the world's a complicated place. The world's a dangerous place. And we have violence in the Middle East. We have violence. I don't know if you guys picked up on this. I shared the story today, which everybody should be following me on Facebook, although there's lots of puppy pictures in there. I'm sorry.
They're awesome, though.
They are awesome. It adds a softer, it makes me human. But and then I take it back. But then
then I fuck it up.
Then I just trash it. But did you know that Japan and Russia got into it today? They were firing on each other's jets over some disputed islands. And I mean, Japan is obviously a NATO member. I believe it has nuclear weapons. I could be wrong, but because I know that the Japanese constitution is really weird on offensive weapons. They couldn't even really have aircraft carriers. I don't know if most people realize that. They just changed the law.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Japan, after World War II, their constitution is very strict on what their military can do. It has to be defensive in nature, not offensive. So they probably don't have nuclear weapons, but they are a NATO member, and we do participate with Japan quite a bit in military exercises. They're one of our better, if not best, partner over there. It's funny how the world changes after 75 years or 80 years. But anyway,
now we best friends.
Well,
friends.
They're just look. Anyway, and them and the Japanese and Russians were exchanged missile fire in their aircraft. I don't know if anyone was shot down or killed, but it's stuff like this that has started regional wars, and regional wars start world wars. Now, we have obviously still, I heard today that Hezbollah declared a new phase of war against Israel. And it's concerning because obviously the Middle East has been a tinderbox for a long time. We have the president of or the prime minister of Israel is addressing the United Nations. I know Biden's addressing the United Nations. That's this week. They're expecting a lot of protests.
That'll be good.
But, Israel is battling Hezbollah, and we have a related.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
No. We have a breaking related story.
You have to say it's a joke. You have to.
It's on there. I think it's on there. But we have, you got to have some fun in the world. So we saw this. I sent it to Jason. He couldn't handle it.
I almost pissed my
pants. We just want to make sure that you guys have seen how the Israelis have stepped up the pressure here on Hezbollah.
They stepped their game
They
up.
stepped it up. And this is
Lebanon that's breaking right now. 2 days ago, pagers belonging to members of Hezbollah were simultaneously detonated, and yesterday, walkie-talkies all over the country began exploding in another wave of what appears to be Israeli retaliations. But just moments ago, in a truly surreal twist, the rectums of goats all over the country exploded at the same time, killing an additional 1,800 people and injuring thousands of others, as well as killing countless goats. CNN international news correspondent Kevin Brown is following the story on the ground in Tel Aviv. Kevin, it's good to see you because everyone was following the pager and walkie-talkie story, and now this happens. What else can you tell us about this developing story?
Thanks, Jake. Tensions are running high right now all over Lebanon as everything seems to be exploding, leaving members of Hezbollah scrambling. First, it was the pager bombs, yesterday walkie-talkies, and now we're hearing just in the last hour, it's the goats that are exploding, leading to skyrocketing death tolls. While it's still speculative, it's hard to believe that the IDF isn't behind all of these incidents. Now it appears explosive devices were somehow placed in the rectums of goats all throughout the country, and when the Hezbollah members began having relations with the goats, the devices were set off. This action will be a massive blow to the morale of Hezbollah, as this was their main method of letting off steam. And now that the goats can't be trusted, they may have to resort to yucky intercourse with women. Back to you, Jake.
Kevin Brown live from Tel Aviv with that development.
Now, let me say this. First of all, it's a joke.
Yucky intercourse with women.
So, just in case you didn't see that, let's clarify before we get in trouble. That was humor. That was a joke. That this comedian, the comedian in the second half of the clip was the guy that put it out there. And also,
he's so good though. Like,
he is. He's so funny.
You would have thought that he was.
Yeah, but that was actually so. Tapper came out with a statement. That was a deep fake on Jake Tapper, and that just shows you. I mean, probably the takeaway from this is how. Man, you cannot always believe what you see,
exactly,
especially on the internet, especially with AI.
How many people actually thought that news real?
You'd have to be. I mean, you would have to be daft to think that was real. I mean, how would they get the goats? How did they know what goats were friendly goats?
The goats cannot be trusted anymore.
Yucky.
You said that to me. I literally, I pulled it up in my truck. I damn near fucking wrecked. Pissed my pants.
You shouldn't be watching videos while you're driving.
I shouldn't be, but I do.
But you do. Shouldn't be on social media.
I make videos. I make videos.
I've seen you make videos. Usually I'm looking up your nose while you're driving, but that's okay. Right. No, so that's a joke, folks. But, getting serious for a second. I mean, that's just making fun of a situation. But the world's a dangerous place, and Israel did exchange. Actually, they did because of the pagers and the walkie-talkie bombs. Hezbollah,
which is scary.
Which is scary. And Israel responded. So I did hear a report today. Israel blew up an apartment building because there was Hezbollah was having a meeting there. So they just blew up the whole building, and they got the guys that were having the meeting. I hope they didn't get too many, collateral damage. But there's a shooting war going on, and it's been going on. You know that for a while, but it's not cooling off anytime soon. And the Middle East is literally one, I guess you would call it, one missile away from blowing up. I mean, let's just say, Israel's not going to sit back if there's some sort of major explosion or attack on a city in Israel. God forbid that they're not going to take that. And so I question where everybody, it's almost like the firemen, right? It's the fireman reference that I wish we could have played that video.
I know, man.
Folks, the world's on fire. And let's just be fair. Let's call it what it is. When Donald Trump was in office, there were no, the wars were coming to an end. He did not get us involved in another war. And he was actually had a plan. Unlike the Biden administration, he did have a withdrawal plan in Afghanistan. And the last year of his administration, nobody was killed in Afghanistan because the Taliban knew that Donald Trump was not going to F around. And if they messed around and they killed an American, he was going to send missiles into their houses. And because he showed the leader of the Taliban where his house was.
Which I think is such a cool thing.
Right. So, I mean, you have to be tough with these people. Word salads, like Kamala is prone to, do not work. The closest thing that she's had lately to a news conference was a love fest with what's her face? Who's the chick? Oprah. And that didn't go particularly well, that Oprah had to step in a couple times and help her out because she's just that weak and that vapid of a human being that she has no thought processes of her own.
So we know Kamala's past. Can you imagine?
It depends.
Putin?
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un.
Well, no.
And the Chinese. I can never pronounce his name.
President Xi of China.
That shit would be watertight. It would be the biggest orgy ever. They would take care of that.
I look, her going over. I mean, did you remember when
she would be watertight?
When Ukraine's, just remember when Ukraine first happened, and she was explaining to not a group of children, although she spoke like she was speaking to children. She said, and I'm trying to get better. I will do better with maybe her impersonation. I don't have her dialect down really close. And plus it's a female, so it's tough. But, she's like, well, Ukraine is a small country and Russia's a big country. And you had the big country invade the smaller country, which is wrong. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, this is the leader. This lady wants to be the leader of the free world. And I'm like, this is surreal to me. But the other thing that kind of really pisses me off, and I don't know if most folks have picked up on it, and you're going to watch it tonight, so we'll get back to the NFL, right? So I don't know if you picked up on the political ads during the football games at all yesterday, but they're kind of enjoyable. I got to tell you, you would think for the Democrat side, for Kamala's side, you would think that Donald Trump, who he's already said multiple times, I would like to just correct a couple misconceptions. Donald Trump and the Republicans are not pushing for a national ban on abortion. That is a lie. If you hear that on television or in a commercial, that is a lie. They know it's a lie, but they keep saying it because it's the only issue they think might gain some traction with some of the maybe quasi-independent female vote out there. There are no plans. Donald Trump has already said that he would not support a bill like that. It would never make it through Congress. It would never make it through the Senate. And if it did somehow do that, he would say he has already said he would veto it. Much to the dismay of the pro-life movement in the Republican Party that may support something like that. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump and the Republicans are not in the position of pushing, advocating, supporting any sort of deal, because that's not where the country's at. And that would be a losing proposition. Rightly or wrongly, I'm just telling you that's not where the country's at. The other thing I love is there's a couple of Sherrod Brown ads. So the Sherrod Brown, Bernie Moreno race is very, very interesting here in Ohio. We have the opportunity here in Ohio to finally get rid of Sherrod Brown, who is a liberal Democrat who's voted with Donald. He's voted with Joe Biden 98% of the time. Some of the latest polling has shown that race either very close to even or even, depending on the sample, Moreno possibly slightly ahead. That is an amazing, amazing place where we're at here in Ohio. So things seem to be going very well here in Ohio. And let's hope that momentum carries through to Election Day. I do have, locally here in Anderson, I'm seeing a plethora of signs. The Democrat signs, I guess their tactic is to put as many signs as possible in a yard because they have a shitload of them, so you can't really read any of them.
Each yard has like fucking 7.
Yeah, so that's usually done when you get one very lonely, bored volunteer or sycophant.
I don't say where I work, but I'm seeing the same.
Yeah, so I'm seeing, and they're they're the same signs, so the same person's doing all the signage, or at least they have the marching orders by a few of their can we call them crazy volunteers, or maybe rabid might be a better term. Rabid. And I mean clinically. So I feel good about Ohio. I feel good about our chances in the Senate with obviously the Moreno Brown. And I hope that I've heard that Donald Trump is up as much as 12 here in Ohio, and that's where I can control. The rest of the country, I've got big concerns about obviously Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. I think it's going to come down to, and this isn't Einstein stuff here, but I think, if Pennsylvania is kind of a must-win state, given the state of the country. But let's just say whatever happens, whatever happens this election cycle, Trump wins, she wins. Here's the deal. And even locally with the signage that we have, I don't remember. Now maybe I'm naive, but I don't think I am. I don't remember a time that this country has been more absolutely and completely divided as we are right now.
It's so divided. Yeah.
And it doesn't.
I completely agree with you.
It does not bode well for the future of the country, because a divided house cannot stand. And I'm concerned that, other foreign actors view the election here in the United States and our divisiveness and think the time is almost right to test their resolve, because I could see that something blowing up, like let's say, for example, that China was to invade Taiwan. I don't know that we could garner in this country a consensus to form a reactionary plan. I don't know that half the country wouldn't say, not our war, not our problem, let them deal with it.
It scares the shit out of me, though. Like if it gets to catastrophic levels, that scares the shit out of me.
If China, and they've been practicing, if you're paying any attention to it, China invading Taiwan is a real possibility. The Middle East spilling over into Iran, taking direct military action against Israel, bringing all the, Muslim countries fighting against Israel. That's a real possibility. Now, Japan and Russia is a possibility. They're fighting over islands. The world's a dangerous place. Ukraine and Russia is still, simmering going on. I just think there's only, I guess if you like the status quo, you have one way to vote. I think if you want this crap fixed, I really think that you have to go back to the administration of Donald Trump, and
Yes.
the world would be a much safer place, in my opinion, with Donald Trump in office. And that's just where I stand.
And I think he's proven it.
He has proven it. He was president for 4 years, and he did a great job.
Yeah, he is proven
until the Chinese unleashed COVID on the world, aided and abetted by a very
or as Dan Carroll would say, the Wuhan.
Well,
he would never say COVID. It was always the Wuhan.
Well, I mean, he's a smart man, and he was aided and abetted by a Dr. Anthony Fauci. We haven't heard a lot from the Fauci. Where's the Fauci at? I wonder if he recovered from. Did he have what? He had syphilis or St. Louis encephalitis. What did he have? He had something.
And we're working on getting fucking Wenstrup on here, who questioned him and just
eviscerated him.
It's one of the first committee hearings that I've watched where I was sitting here watching it and Fauci had nothing.
No, because
we may have Brad on here soon.
Because you can't. Brad is so smart, and that was the beauty. And we're going to miss him in Washington, and we're going to miss having Brad's medical knowledge in Washington, because you couldn't bullshit Brad when it came to about anything, because I think he's a very smart guy, and I think he loves this country, and that's been proven. But you can't bullshit him on medical stuff.
Right.
He pretty much has the medical thing down, and Fauci may be able to talk to some congressmen and senators in ways that they won't understand, because
Fauci may have gotten fucking Epsteined already.
I don't know what his deal was. I mean, I remember he got some other virus, and I don't know what it was. And I was kidding.
It's a new one. It's the new one that they were going to put out.
New one that they're working on. But I mean, it's they better hurry up, because October's coming. So if we're going to have a pandemic, it needs to happen quick, right? Worked the last time. But anyway, we'll see what happens.
We'll figure out our next date. We're going
on a date.
We don't need to talk about it on there, but we'll figure out our next date that we're going to go live.
Well, it's going to be this week.
You don't like to hang out with me, so
it's not that I don't like to hang out with you. I don't like to hang out anywhere with anyone at any time, anyhow.
And
hey, let's go out. I saw. By the way, I would like to let everyone know that the reason I don't want. Do we have that video pulled up?
Oh no, I don't. Fuck.
Well, anyway,
I'll show it next. I'll show it next year.
Yeah. So I mean,
pull it up. I have it.
Here's why. I mean, look, if that's who you are, I'm fine with it. I'm not going to judge you, because apparently it's in vogue. But it's been reported that you were dancing with another man.
I danced with a dude. And then Tukey kissed me on.
You and Tukey,
Jeff Tukey, kissed me on the cheek.
were seen and videotaped having very close slow dance. You weren't dancing. You were slow dancing.
Slow dancing.
Yes.
While Jill Billy 007 was singing and serenading us.
Okay, there's a lot going on.
It was awesome.
There's a lot going on.
It was awesome. I'll have the video. I do have the video.
I have the video.
The next episode I will show.
Okay, it's concerning. So you wonder why
I'm not concerned.
Well,
you're
obviously
concerned.
I'm concerned.
She's not concerned.
I'm not concerned. Should be concerned. I'd be calling some government agency.
We had a lovely time.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you had a nice evening.
We had a lovely
Seemed
time.
to be seated quite lightly in that seat.
We'll get with you on the next episode, but we will have
or
that
maybe
video for the
Tukey's
next
sitting
episode.
lightly in his seat. I'm not sure.
Well, Tukey's always sitting lightly. Everybody, thank you for being here. We keep teasing the new sponsor. I'm waiting on said new sponsor to give me some good ad read material. So, but we will see you here in the next couple of days. So stay tuned. Watch Instagram, watch Facebooks, and
hit the like button.
Hit the like button. Subscribe, ratings, reviews. You know the whole deal. Share it to friends.
Family.
And we love you all for being here.
Peace.
See ya.
Out.